So, what if I told you that hidden deep in your family tree, there's a secret that could actually change your life? And no, I'm not talking about some long-lost inheritance. I'm talking about something that might be even more valuable, a second citizenship. Okay, let's get into it.
I want you to just take a second and really think about this question. Because, thanks to a huge recent change in Canadian law, the answer for you might just be a very surprising yes, even if you've never, ever been to Canada.
Take a look at this number, 500,000. Pretty big, right? So what does that even mean? Well, it's a massive figure that could have a direct impact on you or, frankly, someone you know.
That's right. That's the estimated number of people around the world, a huge chunk of them Americans, who could already be Canadian citizens by law right now and have absolutely no idea. They just haven't claimed it yet. So how on earth did this happen?
Well, it all boils down to a law that really did change everything. For years, there was this restrictive rule that basically acted like a locked door for so many people. But now, that door has been thrown wide open.
The old roadblock was called the first-generation limit. And basically, here's how it worked. If you were a Canadian citizen, but you were born abroad, you couldn't automatically pass your citizenship down to your own kids if they were also born abroad. The line just stopped after one generation outside of Canada. But that's all in the past now.
So here's a quick rundown of how we got to this point. That limit, it was put in place back in 2009. But then, in late 2023, a court struck it down, saying it was unconstitutional. In response, Canada's Parliament passed a new law. It's called Bill C-3, and it officially gets rid of that old limit for anyone born before December 15, 2025. This is now the law of the land.
Okay, so let's make this personal. Could this actually be you? The key to figuring this out is understanding one single concept. I want you to think of it as the unbroken chain litmus test.
Now, this is probably the most important part of this whole thing. It's not enough to just have a Canadian great-grandparent somewhere way back in your family tree. You need to be able to prove that the citizenship was passed down person to person without ever being broken. Each parent had to be a Canadian citizen at the exact moment their child was born.
Let's make this super practical. On the left, you see a successful chain. Canadian great-grandparent, Canadian grandparent, Canadian parent. Boom. That means you are very likely eligible. But now look at the right. This is how the chain gets broken. If your grandparent became a U.S. citizen before your parent was born, they weren't a Canadian citizen at that crucial moment. The chain snaps, and that's it. The eligibility ends right there.
You know, this brings up a few common myths we should just bust right now. You might think your ancestor needed a Canadian passport. Nope. Or that you need to speak French or English. Not true. Or that you have to have actually visited Canada. Not at all. The only thing that matters is that unbroken chain. And the one rule you can't get around, you absolutely cannot skip a generation.
And for a lot of Americans, this isn't some abstract, long-shot idea. There was a massive wave of migration from Canada into the U.S. between 1870 and 1930, especially into New England and New York. So if your family has roots in that part of the country, this is definitely something worth looking into.
So if any of that history sounds familiar and you think you might have a claim, what do you do next? Well, the first thing is a big mental shift. You're not applying to become a citizen, you're applying to prove you already are one.
This is so important to get your head around. If you qualify, the law already sees you as a citizen. Your job is to go out there, gather the evidence, and then apply for what's called a Proof of Citizenship Certificate. That's the official document that makes it all real.
So, how do you get that proof? It's basically a four-step process. First, you got to become a bit of a family detective. You'll need to hunt down all the birth and marriage certificates for every single person in your chain. Second, you submit the official application form. Third, and this is the hard part, you wait. Processing times right now are around 11 months, maybe even longer. And finally, if it all checks out, you'll get that official certificate in the mail. Now, before you start rummaging through old family records, there are a couple of really important realities to understand. Think of it as the fine print, especially if you're thinking about your own kids and future family.
The new law draws a really hard line in the sand. For anyone born before December 15, 2025, that simple, unbroken chain rule we've been talking about applies. But, and this is a big one, for children born on or after that date, there's a whole new rule. It's called the substantial connection test, and it means that to pass citizenship onto them, a Canadian parent who is born abroad will need to have actually lived in Canada for at least 3 years.
Gaining a new citizenship is a massive life event. It's not just about getting a new passport. As one cross-border financial expert put it, securing your citizenship is just the first step. Understanding what it means for your financial life, well, that's the next one.
And let's be honest, the big question is always about taxes, right? Well, here's the basic financial reality. The U.S. taxes based on citizenship, so nothing changes there for you. Canada, on the other hand, taxes based on residency. So as long as you're a dual citizen living in the U.S., you won't owe any Canadian income tax. It really only becomes a thing to worry about if you actually decide to move there.
Whew, okay, we have covered a lot of ground. You might be feeling excited right now, maybe a little bit overwhelmed. So let's just boil it all down to what you should be doing right now.
Here's your action list. First, start digging into your family's history, like today. It can take time. Second, as you do it, verify every single link in that chain. Don't just make assumptions. Third, if your case starts to feel complicated, really consider hiring a professional to help out. And finally, if you're seriously thinking about one day moving, it's a great idea to talk to a financial planner who specializes in US-Canada issues.
Ultimately, this is about so much more than just paperwork. It's about a connection to your own heritage that could literally open up a whole new world of possibilities for you and your family. So the only question left is, what will you discover when you start looking?